and it will go down to 40 hertz, CPS,
Yeah.
cycles per second.
Pretty good stuff.
Now, John, is this, do you have klystron tubes here?
Yes, actually, they're in boxes.
Okay, so you haven't plugged them in lately?
Not since I was with Peter filming in here.
Okay.
I have another extra power supply, which would be towards the it used to be an entrance there.
So what are you thinking in terms of ELF then, Gary?
Well, you know, that's interesting. ELF, of course, so Kino has predicted certain ELF effects.
This is one of the main units for the magnetron in there, modified, the variable tunable magnetron. And as you can see on the side of the door, whoops, ooh, that was screwy. Little plate that comes off where I bolt on the plumbing.
This one?
Mm-hmm. That's the guy.
Now, when you are running for levitation effects,
Mm-hmm.
what's your test setup? What test setup do you usually use?
I use a lot of machines that are interconnected. This one, use all the back stuff in there. And
Okay.
it's not like I have to disconnect it or I can't move in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So as soon as you connect these, it would be very difficult to get around in here.
Yeah, because even in the other room, stuff comes out like cables to operate certain RF operators and static generating equipment and that kind of thing.
So when you operate with static at the same time
So I have a full electrostatic, yeah,
as well as electromagnetic all at the same time.
electromagnetic and Tesla waves. And
This coil, do you use that for statics, or is that just something you pulled off the boat?
oh no, I built that.
You built it?
Yep. I used to build coils. That's just a baby one.
Now that's like a, what, 3-foot Tesla coil?
He pushing 4 feet on the with all the stuff on top.
So what voltage can you get out of that thing?
Roughly half a mil.
Half a mil.
That's
So you got a half a mil Tesla coil.
yep. I
Yeah.
used to have like 10 million volt types.
So you got that thing. When you get that thing going, then you have a good static field. And so what do you use for your electromagnetic field? These magnetrons?
I use magnetrons, I use signal generators, I use Tesla coils, and for electrostatics I use static generating ion source equipment.
Ion source.
I don't have a Van de Graaff here. I use
That's what
source.
you use, Van de Graaff?
Yeah. It's,
What do you use here? Do you have anything here that...
in statics? Yeah, I have static guns.
Oh.
Well, Gary, one of the things you'd asked about was, would it be possible for John's equipment to be producing gravity waves?
Yeah, I'm wondering, because when you're running light through a strong magnetic field, the Gertzenstein effect predicts gravitational waves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if you've ever attempted to run, electromagnetic energy through a strong static magnetic field.
Oh,
Have you ever set up static magnetic fields?
Huge stuff, yeah. This setup here is like a baby setup compared to what I once have, which I have drawings of it in a book that I just recently found,
Oh, okay.
which may be helpful for you.
Yeah, I'd like to look at that. And
because this only can cause minor levitation effects compared to the 1980s,
okay,
which were dramatic things.
that was more dramatic in the 80s.
Well,
Oh.
Did you use the same order of Tesla coil, or that's when you were using the bigger Tesla coil?
I actually was using three huge Tesla coils. at
Three-
that time.
3 Tesla coils at that time, and those were the 10 mil.
10 mil, but high Qs, meaning that they wouldn't, like one was not high Q, so it'd spark over if you wanted to spark over. Then I'd load
High
them
Q
up.
meaning it didn't spark.
So high Q types I'd have going.
Yeah,
full
the
power.
interesting thing I find about your Tesla coils is they're the coil style.
Mhm.
And so, yes, you are generating an enormous static field, but at the same time, because it's a coil and you've got current running through the coil, you're also generating an enormous static magnetic field. So that very well could have been the source of your static magnetic field, is the coil itself.
I'll start from Tesla coils and I try to get away from them.
You just tried to get away from them.
Yeah, by using vacuum tube oscillators and that.
Why
To the
you didn't
coil.
like the sparking? Why did you try to get away?
No, just to improve the equipment from the very first setups I had a long time ago to more advanced setups. That's when I got into magnetrons and klystrons and
Well,
signal generators and different
So your
waveforms.
goal was mostly what, the material science stuff where you were melting and merging materials, or was it just
Simply,
play around,
well, that
see what you could
is, no, that's a side effect. If the frequencies seem to shift, this effect would happen.
okay? If the frequency was shifting.
That's what, yeah, this is what we feel.
I'm wondering if I could just with a couple of quick questions. The first one was kind of a pass me down question. In terms of funding, how much would it cost in terms of dollars, do you think, to set up your lab to be able to produce the Hutchison effect again? The classic effect.
The classic effect, probably, if I started from the basic U.S. government test.
Sure, the documented phenomena that's been interesting a number of our
Ye-
government friends recently, I guess.
Yeah, there were estimates and estimates many times over, but of course the cost of things and availability of things changes, so off the top I'd have to say $500,000 maybe. That's really off the top.
Oh, sure. Would that be all
mean-
equipment costs, or would that also be facilities?
I don't know where it's, again, it's where can I find the transformers that I once had?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
all that stuff and the wire, is it still around? Like things change, scrapyards come and die. Unfortunately, convoy electrical machinery came and gone. So all that stuff is very scarce. Unless, of course, you buy it new, and that's where the cost would probably come in.
Oh, sure. And one of the things you indicated before, though, is if you buy it new, it doesn't always work the same, right? You have to retune everything, probably.
Well, yeah, that's the major thing is the tune-up, about 6 months.
6 months to tune it up. So
To
6
tune it
months
up.
and probably $500,000. Still, in terms
Roughly.
of a lot of the projects, you know, and they would be guaranteed a result, which they don't see with a lot of the projects they invest in. So that would definitely be helpful. So,
I never guarantee anything.
yeah.
Oh no. I say you take your chance, and I've said that to everybody.
Oh, sure,
You
sure.
know, just because I don't want to overstep my bounds and promise something that I can't really. It's got a lot of ifs. And that's the same with the crystal power cells. I say, well, they're pretty well useless, but if you're interested,
Oh, sure, sure.
go for them, which some person already has. Because they can be used as basically a detector or a small reference voltage.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I mean, at least it's good to get a firm dollar value. Yeah. Now you'd mentioned 20,000 in the past. Is that the kind of the scrap value for a lot of these parts? If
Yeah, that's going out and getting it from surplus.
oh, okay. So a lot of it depends on if it's new or if it's used and where you can find it and what the.
Yeah, because in the old days, they would give the stuff away.
Oh, sure, sure.
They just didn't want to deal with it. They said, take it, we'll be happy to give it to you.
Yeah,
And I
they
was
said
happy to
scrap.
take it.
Yeah,
Well,
electronic breakage is worth a lot of money now by the pound.
One
So
of
it's much tougher to find this kind of stuff.
Well, it's like the big transformers I once had. They were 0 to 200,000 volts DC. Siemens X-ray transformers, and they weighed around 1,500 pounds to 2,000 pounds each. And the scrap guys would get them in, and they didn't really want to bother with all that oil and that, so
yeah.
they
Yeah.
delivered them to me. But prior to that, how I started out was with these unique high-powered neon sign transformers, and a 400,000 volt antique transformer that was, I guess its weight was around pushing close to 1,000 pounds.
Well, as I understand it, the equipment, and again for the classic, I guess, documented Hutchison effect, wasn't the equipment requirement there you using 3 Tesla coils, and then you were using a Van de Graaff generator,
That's right.
and then RF equipment, right? Now was that?
Lots of RF equipment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just trying to figure out what the setup was there.
It was it's kind of like this in a way, but it was more high voltage looking.
Oh, yeah. A little bit more spacious, probably too.
I mean, I would have to work the controls like this while George was standing behind me filming everything. That's kind of funny. Especially with guests, that was really funny.
Now, what did you use for RF radiators? Did you use just regular dish antennas? Like
For
dishes
what?
for radiating the RF, like the microwaves and the ELF?
Well, use dish or simply just rubber duckies.
Rubber duckies, like dipoles?
Not dipoles. I'm trying to say like on walkie-talkies they have.
Oh yeah, coil.
Yeah,
coil
coil.
Style.
Coil, yeah.
Coil antennas. Okay.
Little ball.
For ELF coils would work fine.
Then I use dummy loads too.
Okay.
Yeah, to draw some of the energy because I use high wattage sometimes. And
Coils, sometimes parabolas, sometimes dummy loads.
yeah. All depending, because if I use straight the proper wavelengths on some of these things, then it would radiate all over the place outside and cause havoc.
I wonder, did you ever get any complaints about interference?
Not the only interference
TV
complaints. Only maybe once, but the only interference seemed to be the gravity effects. That was actually back in Lynn Valley, North Burnaby, and especially here, it's very problematic here. If I try any experiment here, it's like the police come or
How do they know you're running something?
people start phoning into City Hall. And the mayor was actually here.
What's the complaint?
Concrete's cracking. Oh, yeah, and then the neighbor next to him, Lee Denise, her name is, had some of her ornaments start melting on her.
Ornaments melting. Yeah, that would be considered a side effect.
So, in consideration of this here, I think, well, I don't think...
Yeah. It's not, you don't want to turn it on here because you're living in tight quarters here. So it's better to be away out in something that's isolated.
Well, the thing is that there's too many people too close to it.
Yeah. So do you think they're safe, or... I mean, have people ever had ill effects?
No.
Have you ever suffered any ill effects running this stuff, or nothing?
Just radar clicks. George Hathaway's raised 2 healthy children, he said in a video interview, and he's very well healthy because he spent a lot of time with me on these the long burns in the 80s.
Still extremely good health for someone his age, just like you are, so yeah.
Oh yeah. We always made sure we were protected too.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
Well, what kind of protection were you guys able to use?
Any kind of shielding.
Shielding.
All types of shielding.
Oh, like Faraday cages and stuff?
Yeah.
But wouldn't those also kind of absorb and negate some of the effects?
Well, we took our risks in those days. I remember it. It's even the colonel and the gang from Los Alamos, they were walking around recording everything, and they had these little round bulbs that would glow up, and they'd test this and test that.
Field strength, yeah.
Yeah, so that was the good old days. We just let her rip kind of thing, and I'm still that way now.
Ever taken like field strength measurements yourself with any?
Had a full monitoring lab unto itself.
Oh, okay.
And
so
Hathaway.
what kind of field strengths do you remember?
Well, yeah, it's all written down. George Hathaway.
Oh, George has all that. Okay.
And I have it too, actually, in this book that.
Yeah, I just interviewed George, and one of the things that surprised me, I don't know, for whatever it's worth, was he said he